Hi there, it's Louise here of Timeless Craft Mama, and today I'm sharing a scrapbook layout process video with you created for Scrapbook Boutique, and I've titled this layout Some Kind of Wonderful. This was an idea that I sort of had floating around in my head. I don't know if it's been done before, but it's really, it was really fun, and it really was a great way to do some stash busting. So the first thing I'm going to do is take these collectibles, and they are the True Love collection from Kaisercraft. And I'm going to just apply them to some white cardstock and create a background. So I'm going to just move them around on an angle, having a look at, just placement and making sure that they are balanced and not too many quotes and things near each other, just aesthetically pleasing. So I am leaving also some white space because that's where my photo and my cluster is going to go. So some of this gets covered up, but it's a good way to use supplies and create a really fun background. So once I'm happy with where all the placement is for these items, I've gone ahead and glued them down off camera because let's face it, nobody really needs to see that. And the next thing I've done is to apply a clear coat of gesso to those collectibles in the background. Then I'm using the packaging technique with the distress crayons to apply some colour. And I've gone with some of the colours that were in this collection. It was already heavily dominant with those reds and the pinks and the more feminine colours, so I've broken that down in the background just with some of the yellows and the greens that also appeared in that collection. So I really like the distressed crayons for this particular technique. They're quite subtle and they give that really nice watercolour effect, so you really can get some interesting results and some interesting colours in backgrounds when it comes to using them with that packaging technique. So then, because I just find it easier than using the distress crayons for splatters, I'm using just some Kaiser mists. So I'm just splattering some again in the yellow and green around that page. Now, if you didn't have distress crayons, you could have also done, the packaging technique with the Kaiser sprays. That would have worked as well. So if you've got sprays in your stash, you can do that as well to create that background that I've created here. Now this is a picture of my boy's great-grandma, and I wanted this layout to be about the fact that she's the only great-grandmother that ever got to meet the boys. So that's what my journaling story is about, and you'll see how I'm going to incorporate that into this layout as we progress. So off camera, I've created a border around the page, and I've just done that with machine stitching. And what I'm doing now is I'm just trying to help this photo stand out off the background, because the background is busy and there's a lot going on, but scrapbooking is all about the photo, so I wanted to make sure that the photo wasn't going to get lost in that busy background. And I think that the addition of the distress crayon like watercolor effect certainly helps that, because it makes those background elements more of a background. That's my thoughts anyway. Now, you probably have noticed if you've watched any of my videos that I am not a fussy cutter. I am so envious of people that can fussy cut because I think it's a fabulous skill to have. But for me, it's just not something that I really either use or feel I'm very good at. So I've fussy cut to the best of my ability the Some Kind of Wonderful title, and that's about as fussy as I get when it comes to cutting. So I'm just playing with some papers from the Cocoa Vanilla Studio collections in the background, and I felt that they worked really well with this particular True Love collection, which is from Kaisercraft. And I also had this chipboard frame that I wanted to use on this layout as well. So I'm going to emboss that with gold because the gold is just beautiful with this collection. And look, gold is very on trend at the moment and also works with any colours. So I wanted to bring just a little bit of bling into this layout. So I'm just going to heat emboss that. Now, sometimes I would have used the inner part of that frame, but in this particular case, I don't need it for this layout, so that doesn't actually feature. But I do put that oval chipboard piece back into my stash because it's not wastage. So we don't want to throw it out because it can be used on another layout. You never know when you're going to need a circle for a background or some stamping or to prop something up even. So definitely hang on to your scraps because sometimes they come in handy. Now I'm having a little play here because I'm really not sure of how this layout's going to come together. I knew what I wanted to do for the background, and for me backgrounds are very easy to create, but when it comes to actually building the layout, this is where I struggle. So I started initially with a little bit of cheesecloth and put that title into that chipboard frame, but I didn't really like the result. So I thought I'm going to do my journaling and have that ready to go so that I can start to lay that out on the page in order to start working on the final result of how I want this layout to look. So I've simply gone ahead and just typed up my journaling on the computer, printed it out on some white paper, and I'm just trimming it into strips now and mounting it onto some more of that cocoa vanilla paper so that I can give it a little bit of that same background as what's in the layout. So more paper trimming, getting it nice and even. Look, some people are able to do this just by sight. Some people like to do it really perfectly and evenly. For me, do whatever you're comfortable with. I like to just trim mine by eye and then, retrim it again and if it's really not the way that I want it to look. So I also had that chipboard frame from my stash, and I was going to use that somewhere on the layout as well, but I found that it wasn't really fitting and it wasn't matching and it just didn't look the way I wanted it to look, so I ended up leaving it off the layout. So my cluster's done and I'm happy with where the journaling is in that frame now. I'm going to go ahead and ink around the edges of some of these papers just in some more of the gold colour, just to again bring them forward a little bit from that busy background, break it up just a fraction and bring some more gold and some more bling into this layout. So I'm quite happy with the final result of this layout. The background didn't quite come out the way that I wanted it to, and I think I probably will have another go at doing this again. So using the pack of collectibles, creating a background on some plain cardstock, and then adding elements to build the page. What I might do is I might actually go a bit more mixed media with it next time. So, get in there with some acrylic paints and some paste and things like that. So next time I can get my hands on some Kaisercraft Collectables, I definitely think that I'll start to include a little bit more mixed media, some paint and some splatters, and really build an interesting background that's lots of texture. So this is the first time I've done this, and I think that while I like the final result, that the background still is probably just a little bit busy. So I wanted to share it with you just so you could see what the process was and what the final result of this layout was, even though it wasn't particularly what I was aiming for when I first started the page. So mostly I'm just applying some matte gel and adhering these elements to the page. So I've got my title stuck down there with matte gel, the cheesecloth has gone on. I'm going to use the tacky glue for the frame just because it will dry clear anyway, so it's easy enough just to attach that frame with some tacky glue. And then I'm going to mount my journaling onto strips of foam tape and then glue those down as well. Just because they're inside that frame, I really want to make sure they're attached and they're not going to come off later on down the track as this page ages. So overall, I think that, this was a learning process for me, and, if you've picked up something from this layout, then that's my aim in sharing this video with you. You know, I enjoyed this process, and it was certainly something different to what I would usually create as far as making my own background is concerned. Now, the final steps in completing this layout, I'm just going to apply some of the whipped spackle around the page just with a spatula, and then I've got some gold glitter. So I'm just going to sprinkle that over that spackle so it's got something to adhere to, and that's just again giving that page just a little bit of added bling element. So it's not embossed, it's just the glitter is going to dry in that whipped spackle, and it's going to add just that little touch of extra gold to the page. Now, I had a couple of extra elements that I'd pulled out from the Cocoa Vanilla collection, so I'm going to add those just to the right hand side of the layout. Just a little flower, a flare, and some twine to finish this one all off. I had a play and a look around with some of the wood veneer pieces, but I felt like this layout was already fairly busy and I didn't need to be adding too much more to the finished product. So I'm just going to leave it at that nice simple page, journaling, title, a little bit of bling, and some collectibles in the background. So I'm going to show you a couple of close-ups and the final result of this page. I really hope you enjoyed this process video from me. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and of course check out Scrapbook Boutique for all your scrapbooking needs. Thanks so much.